With Gina.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, move over, John Legend and Idris Elba and Blake Shelton and Dwayne Johnson. We have a new Sexiest Man Alive, according to People magazine. Congratulations to Michael B. Jordan. He is now People's Sexiest Man Alive. It's 7 years ago, People magazine tapped him as the one to watch in that year's Sexiest Man Alive issue. And they correctly predicted this moment. They predicted it. They also picked it. And the third straight year for a black man to be chosen. And again, we got John Legend, Idris Elba, Blake Shelton, Dwayne Johnson, and now we have Michael B. Jordan. Speaking of boxers.
John Legend is attractive, but I don't know if I have him in the Sexiest Man Alive.
He got a lot of shit for that. He'll be the first one to tell you, according to his Instagram, that he was trolled pretty hard for having that honor bestowed upon him.
So we got 3 years running with a black man, right?
Mm-hmm, yep.
So now it's going to be weird if you do Conan O'Brien next year, right? Like
you'll get the bends.
Weird on a number of levels. Yes, it would.
But there's kind of an element of like when you have a black Secretary of Labor or something, and then they have to be replaced. Now you kind of have to find another black Secretary of Labor,
right?
So this is it.
You got to pivot to some other race or something.
Well, now more than ever, my magazine honky style. I think now it's about time we get going with that shit. All right, so
StephenDorff could grace the first issue.
That's right, Sexiest Man Alive.
He'd be great.
Don't you wish your dad wrote a shitload of hit songs?
Oh my God, one hit song would be amazing.
Yeah,
and set for the rest of your goddamn life.
We all know all the 80s and 90s sitcoms, and they're all good and delightful. But Growing Pains, top 3, possibly number 1, best theme song.
Every Which Way But Loose was his first big. That's the one where Clint Eastwood had the orangutan who punched people.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
And what was the Kenny Rogers song?
That's right. What's that?
What was the Kenny Rogers song?
Oh, Through the Years?
Through the Years.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I love that song. Love that
song. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're trying to party in New Orleans for Carnival Pass, because you're probably going to get booted right off of Bourbon Street, no parades of any kind will be permitted for the 2021 Carnival season. That's the official website. The mayor wrote on Facebook that with COVID spreading, we need to modify Carnival. Now, they're not saying it's canceled. They're just saying there's no parades. So I can't take one more virtual event when it comes to like Halloween.
Couldn't they have people at the beginning kind of staggering people? Like you go get, 10 feet down the road, then you go.
Spoken like somebody who's never been to Carnival.
I have not.
Never been to Carnival. I haven't either, but.
It's a substitute for what would be a great event. Could they not?
But they're already staggering because they're shit-faced. There's no way to permit to get those people to stand 6 feet away from each other. Don't they do the annual greasing of the pole the night before, so people don't try to climb the pole in the middle of the French Quarter? I mean, these people are treated like toddler zombies. They're already a mess and wasted and trying to climb everything and take all their clothes off. So I don't know how they're going to enforce this.
I've been there during Mardi Gras. I guess we shot man show bits there, but
Tommy Lasorda.
It's bedlam over there. It's Sodom and Gomorrah. Yeah, toughest
Sodom
job.
And Lasorda.
Toughest job in the world is cameraman on Bourbon Street during Mardi Gras, because Jimmy and I would have to walk and he'd have to film us, but he'd have to walk backwards.
Yeah.
Imagine walking backwards down Bourbon Street in the height of the humanity. He always had his left hand would be on the camera and his right hand was feeling behind him like the whole
void.
time.
A lot of times when that's going to be a big part of your role, you have like an assistant that's literally there just to hold your back and to walk backwards with you.
Yeah, there was probably...
You didn't get one of those?
Well, he probably did get somebody, but there's such a throng of humanity that there's not enough assistants in the world. And I remember that. I remember going out and filming. And I remember this one, too, because it always used to drive me nuts. Inevitably, the camera would run out of batteries and you'd have to stop. And then someone would go, where are the backup batteries? And someone would go, it's in the van. And then you'd go, where's the van? I go, it's on the other side of town. And I would always be like, We know the batteries are going to wear out. Why don't we have the batteries with us? This is why people hated working with me. But it was always, we got them. They're in the van. We just got to go get them. It's like, but it's a long ways away. But yeah, those kinds of jobs where something happens repeatedly, you know it's going to happen, right. But it doesn't. There's a lot of that in life where it's like, this is going to happen. You should be prepared for this happening because it's your job and it always happens. All right. Sorry, Gina. What else?
Well, let's stay with the fun and possibly tacky events. Your favorite, Carolla, John Waters. He, you love hairspray. You love polyester. You love, shit. Now they all escape me. Thank you. But this year you get a very special treat.
How about Serial Mom?
Pecker.
Oh, I forgot about that. Crybaby.
Oh, he's such a hack. God, we have to respect him because he's kitschy.
Well, you might have to tolerate him if you're planning on watching the Pornhub Awards.
Oh, boy.
He has signed on as a presenter for the Adult Film Honor, which is going virtual, of course, this year. He tells the New York Post, good filth on demand is what we all need to stay home and be sexually safe and socially distant in this obscene pandemic. Giving a Pornhub Award seems like a civic duty to me. So he'll be there.
Sounds like $2,200 in a Southwest round trip ticket. That's what it sounds like to me. Ugh, that guy.
So you've never interviewed him, right?
I think I have.
And I mean, wasn't he just delightful as a person or no? He seems so fun.
I have, okay. So you all know that Ellen has driven me insane for 15 years, right?
Yes. Yes.
Because I cannot stand that when someone puts something forward, and I always hate. It's why I was never like, it's why I never like Marilyn Manson or like all those bands that are like on this whole thing over here, but there's not a lot of ability. Rob Zombie or something. It's like not a lot of ability with a lot of sizzle, not a lot of steak. I like everything. I like all the work to speak for itself. And John Waters' movies are fucking embarrassingly, insultingly bad, but he gets a free pass because he's this guy that he invented. But really, he's just a fucking nerd from high school that did his little penciled-in mustache and his seersucker suits and stuff. And he's created this whole persona, which none of the great musicians or none of the great directors or writers, they don't have that persona because their persona is their work. You know what I mean? Like their work speaks for itself. Yeah, if he put on fucking sweatpants and a members only jacket and went to fucking Supercuts, we wouldn't know his name. That's what I'm saying. Thus, he's a hack. And his movies are fucking insultingly bad. They're not funny. I mean, he tries to do comedy.
Do you think he hides behind the fact that they're supposed to be insultingly bad?
Well, okay.
It's a bit of a cheat.
I hope he doesn't open a restaurant. Yes. Well, how about this experiment? Write a good movie. How about that? Maybe try that.
Then we'll compare.
A really good example of anti-example, of what Adam's talking about is David Lynch, who made a career off of doing just weird, surreal stuff people had trouble following, not mainstream. He was strange, blah blah. And then a few years ago, Adam, I don't know if you heard of this movie or seen it, or Gina, he made a movie called The Straight Story. Just a beautiful, brilliant little movie, not weird at all. It's about a fucking old man, Richard Farnsworth, who rides from like Nebraska to Wyoming on his tractor to see his dying brother. Farnsworth is nominated for an Oscar. It's beautiful, it's brilliant, and it's like, he has the goods. He can make these weird artsy movies, avant-garde, that's on him, do what you do, but he can just nail a perfect, beautiful, straightforward, no pun intended, movie.
Yeah, I feel the transcendental meditation.
Yeah, I feel that way about musicians or whomever, or painters or whatever. Do something crazy, weird, and wacky, and then do something really brilliant, like a compulsory kind of a thing. And then, like do crazy interpretive dance and then do some killer ballet or jazz or whatever, and then I'll be impressed.
Straight Story is great. Anyone who wants to watch it, you'll love it. It's a good movie.
And he is in one of my favorite Simpsons episodes with one of my favorite lines. Remember when John Waters is trying to
Gina, I'm going to relieve you. You don't have to like John Waters just because
But you like The Simpsons, right?
But I'm saying just because you're a hero to the gay community, you can still not like John Waters. He's horrible at his job.
When did I say I like John Waters? I mean, I do like John Waters.
That's what do you mean? I'm looking at your face. You don't have to say it.
It's one of my favorite Simpsons lines when he can't tell if that character is gay, and Homer goes, I like my beer cold, my TV loud, and my homosexuals flaming. Don't get that drop. So let's go to the other side of the spectrum. Let's talk about Quentin Tarantino. So he has some new works coming out, but they're not movies, they're books. One, very interesting. So this is according to the AP. He has a 2-book deal with Harper, beginning with a novelization of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And that's scheduled for next summer. So the book will come out first as this mass market paperback, like the old pulp novel, books that he loves, and will offer, quote, a fresh, playful, and shocking departure from the film. And then his next book, which also I imagine is on brand for Tarantino, nonfiction cinema speculation, which Harper is calling a deep dive into the movies of the 1970s draws in part on the director's
every movie he makes is a deep dive into the movies of the 1970s.
And I don't know if you know this name, but draws on his admiration for the late New Yorker critic Pauline Kael. And that I don't know if you saw I'm Thinking of Ending Things, right, Brian?
No, actually.
No. Please see it.
Wait.
So many times I see something and I'm going to text you in the middle of the night, but I feel like that's weird.
Yes, I saw it. It was
you didn't care about it. Okay. Anyway, she makes an appearance in that.
I want Tarantino to make movies, man.
He's making books.
I know, but I don't like reading. I like watching.
So, as a one-time Tarantino super fan, owned the books about Tarantino, the quickie books, the whatever. I'll quote him and say that he said, if I was ever like a hardcore writer, like if I ever wanted to be a writer, I wouldn't write scripts. I'd write novels. Mm-hmm. So Tarantino's had this in his head for a long time. How this manifests itself, who knows? But he's always been like, yeah, if I was a writer, I'd just write novels. I'm a filmmaker.
I love that guy's films. And, he's, 2-3 years in between films?
Typically.
Yeah.
I think Django and the other one came out pretty quickly.
Speed that up.
Yeah.
All right, Gina.
Threatening to wrap. Yeah.
Sorry, let's do one more.
All right. Well, let's stay on... Nope. Because we had StephenDorff, we're talking about fights and big tough guys. Let's look at Alexei Novikov. He is now the world's strongest man. That competition was held over the weekend, and during the competition, Alexei Novikov from Ukraine set a world record with a 1,185-pound partial deadlift. And we have a picture of that. The guy is 24 years old. And the record had stood from way back in 1983. And you want to talk about psyching yourself up for something? During an interview after the lift, he explained this is how he pumps himself up. You think he's going to go super aggro and crush a beer can against his head? This is how he pumps himself up. He says, when I walk in, I think, it's not heavy. That's no problem.
Yeah. I don't think that'd work for us. It's 1,000, how many? 1,080?
1,185 pounds.
Wow. He is.
What makes it a partial deadlift?
Yeah, he looks like he's got it straight on up.
Yeah.
That looks like a straight on deadlift, man.
And there were other competitions. It was so fun to watch. I didn't pull it just because I didn't know how much time we have, but they're just giant boulders you have to pick up and put on top of this peg. And then you go to the next one, you put on top of this peg. And it looks, it makes my back hurt to watch it.
Yeah, they do. That's the fun thing about the strongman competitions. They're not just pushing around weights. They're doing the keg toss and
pulling a truck
and
Yep, it's fun.
Yeah, pulling an airplane. Although I got to say, the thing about pulling the airplane with your teeth kind of guys, it seems really impressive, but I don't really I have no idea if it's hard or not. Lifting 1,200 pounds, that I'm aware of. You know what I mean? Right. And even the keg toss, I'm kind of aware of. But it seems like everyone who tries to pull something, they do it.
Yeah, it's on rollers.
Yeah, it's on wheels. It's meant to be pulled. All right, Gina, let's bring it home.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.